You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
I'm chatting today, my next guest on the Funny Peculiar podcast is Vivien Ella Walden. Hello, Vivien.
Hi, Jeff. Good to meet you.
Lovely to finally we get to meet. Now, you've brought out a book, or it's been out for a while, Eating from the CherryTree.
Yeah.
And very much available. I think I got my copy off Amazon. Go out and buy it. It's a brilliant read. And it's your life story, really, isn't it?
Completely. From start, from childhood until very recently.
Until recently. The main topic of the book is, so you were a madam quite a few years ago, and you ran brothels and you ran various parlours and all that sort of stuff. You've done lots of other things as well, but the book concentrates a lot on that.
The most important thing, as I'm sat here in front of you, Jeff,
please,
is quite simply to state to yourself and whoever is open to listen to me, a very important subject, that brothels do need to be legalised in the UK. Specifically brothels, not necessarily prostitution on its own, but definitely brothels that bring in working girls or working guys off the streets into safe quarters, take care of them, guide them in right directions. And so they're working in a healthy, clean atmosphere, paying their taxes, everything above board. So the government's happy, everybody's happy. The guys are happy that are coming to visit, or women as well.
And currently now, because podcasts, anybody around the world can download this. So at the moment, UK law. Now I don't know what the laws are else in Europe or in America. Whether if brothels are allowed in America, I don't know in say Europe how the law is.
It's all done in state-wise. In certain states in America, it's obviously legalised. I have been told, was told a while ago, that it's illegal to run brothels in Scotland. How true that is or not, I don't know. But it seems that if you take a train ride or a car ride or just go up the other end of the island, it's quite legal there. And I think I mentioned to you before, but I'll mention to here live, in around 1990, when I was still involved in my last brothel, the Toucan, which was a hugely successful
and that was in Manchester.
It was in Manchester, yes. And I'd been there for many years, around 30, just over 30 years. Very well established. We were jumping up and down, the girls and I, so excited because Tony Blair had declared he wanted to legalise brothels. It was really on his agenda, and he was putting it up into a government vote. Unfortunately, it didn't get accepted, but it was in his ideas of future planning for that sort of thing. And
just to sort of the technical side of that, so a brothel basically means more than one girl. So because at the moment it's
more than one.
It's illegal to have more than one girl. Which
if you're a girl working girl on her own, perfectly legal. Highly dangerous, I would say, but perfectly legal. But anything above that, it's illegal. I'm going starting from the end to go forward with you, if you don't mind.
That's absolutely fine.
I, after 30 odd years, got raided.
Right.
The police raided me. 30 odd guys, many policemen coming through the door with sniffer dogs and everything. I don't know what they expected there. But they carted my girls away, carted myself away, carted a couple of customers away that were enjoying a lot of fun up those stairs with the bed springs squeaking and whatever. They bombarded the doors down, arrested them as well, coming out with their pants down their ankles.
No way.
It was, sounds funny, doesn't it? But
but
really,
at the time
it was
quite scary.
Hang on a minute here. 30 odd years, what are you doing now? It seems that a new chief constable had taken charge, put a pin in the paper and said, fell on me, and raid that. And he wanted more stripes on his sleeve, whatever, and he got them. So, of course, I pleaded guilty. It was a guilty offence, although during the time I was many years paying taxes, and the VAT man as well, who gladly took the money, knowing the business, knowing that it was the type of business that it was, a brothel. So accepted my money. In a way, I thought, well, how? Hang on a minute here. could they indeed be pimping off me, the government itself, by taking their tax and VAT money, knowing the industry. I walked down the courtroom steps and I thought, how am I going to get this angst out of me, this anger, as well as losing all my valuables and everything that went into police funds. They took all my money, all my investments. How am I going to recoup myself from this? And I thought, write my memoirs.
Yeah.
Because so many people along the way, knowing me in certain periods of my life, Viv, you've done all this, it's fantastic. Wonderful to have it in a book for people to read. And that's what I did. It took me 2 years to write, and here we are now. And it starts from how did I get into this situation of ending up absolutely potless after all these exciting years of having so much money and so much fun and so much of life. How have I ended? How has this happened? And how did it start?
And when did the book come out? How long has it been out
2016.
For? 2016, we're coming on 3 years now. And how was it received when it was first published?
Well, I ended up on the couch with Phil and Holly
on
this morning, sat there, being able to promote my book.
Did you discuss the issue?
I discussed everything, what I'm discussing with you now.
Yeah.
I was perfectly open with them, and they were sat there nodding in agreement and everything. It's getting the message out. And now it's gone from ears being pricked up. It's going to become, hopefully, a stage play 2019 in autumn, we're heading for.
Brilliant.
I've got a fantastic scriptwriter called Andy Pilkington.
Brilliant.
Whose agent is Jim Cartwright, and you can't get any bigger than that.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful, yeah.
And this is going to be based in, or it'll be put on in Manchester to go to London, or we don't know at the moment?
Andy has said to me, who knows, the world's your oyster. Definitely, we can see it in the West End.
Yeah.
But starting in Manchester as well.
Yeah.
And he's at the moment taking on board producers.
Yes.
Then we're going to do a thing called for actors to read.
Yes.
For different parts.
Right.
And then decide on who comes across the best.
Sure. And has it been written? So has it been the play's been written?
It's complete.
Oh, it's complete?
Yeah, only recently.
Okay.
It's taken him 6 months.
Yeah.
And of his very precious time.
Right.
And has completed it.
And have you read it as well?
Yes, it's amazing.
Wow. And can you give us a basic plot outline of? Obviously, it's your life, but
I really can't.
No, that's fine.
If you don't mind,
absolutely
Jeff, because
not. No.
I want people to see it as he's going to put it, and how the actors are going to portray it, and whatever.
Sure.
But it is a complete life story.
Yeah.
Done in a quite a humorous way.
Yeah.
So it's not all heavy and everything. It's quite light-hearted and a lot of humour in it, which is what we wanted.
Yeah.
Which there is in my life, anyway.
How did you feel when you read it? Were you just pleased about it?
Excited. Yes, excited,
right,
because having the actress in me anyway, there's no other road for it to go than be on the stage or on television.
Yeah.
So serialisation on television would be wonderful.
Well, wouldn't it just? Yeah. There's a Netflix right there, isn't there?
Yeah, we're heading in all those directions, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Hopefully 2019 is going to be exciting. Yeah.
Wonderful.
But how wonderful it would be that my message through this could get across.
Yes.
That this is the time more than ever now, with all the atrocities that are going on, rapes and murders, and to sort of be able to stop that in its tracks just a little bit, just a very small percentage, by guys that get the need to do certain things sexually, and find it difficult to be able to find people to perform those sexual acts, become angst and angry, and lead to all sorts of embitterment and anger, which then can lead to, who knows, who knows, the worst scenario.
Yeah. So do you think these places
brothels can definitely, because with my girls, all well-educated girls that understood the needs of men. Everyone was vetted to make sure that they were able to cope with different situations.
Yeah.
So if you've got a guy that wants to be a baby, wants to have a nappy on and a dummy in his mouth and wants to be treated like a little baby, then we would have the girl that would provide that service.
So everybody's specialised in a certain thing.
And all different forms of things that were needed, and domination in particular. We had a dungeon.
Right. Okay. Now the S&M scene's quite big at the moment, with 50 Shades of Grey coming along, and I think it's quite an active scene in Manchester.
Well, didn't she just get there in time, because it took off like there's no tomorrow? But if you were to read her book, which I haven't done actually, but I've watched the film. I mean, it's so mild,
it is,
and so tame, and so nothing at all. For it to have become such a huge success, it just shows you the interest that's out there. In that form of domination and whatever that so many people love within their relationships. But no, it has to be contained, and the girls knew how to.
Do you think it's one of the last taboos for couples to talk about S&M? I mean, it must go on in there.
It's becoming not taboo anymore, and it's just wonderful. It's wonderful that it's out there now. I think
Ann Summers is selling a lot more.
Oh my goodness, definitely. And there's a company called Love Honey as well. I don't know whether you've heard of them.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Well, when I had my website, Love Honey asked if they could advertise on my web thing, and I sold products from there. So we actually worked together.
Sure.
And Love Honey now is on television.
Yes.
I mean, they advertise.
They are, aren't they?
On prime time, anytime.
Yes, I think I think when they first started advertising was about 2011.
Yeah.
But they said it was so tame.
Yes.
They went in on it. They did. People thought it was a dating agency.
Yeah.
Until they got the idea of actually we better show some toys here, or some marital aids, or something, or sex toys.
Yes. I mean, it's done very mildly, but it gives the people the idea that this is acceptable.
Yeah.
So they can go out and buy all the bits and pieces. But if I was to explain the dungeon at the Toucan, it was a proper cell dungeon.
Right, okay.
We had a mock-up electric chair.
Right, okay.
That the guys were tied to, and they used to get little squirts of electricity going through them, so they'd get a bit of a shock.
Right.
And there was every single paddle and whip and cane and everything that was there. Amazing stuff.
And it was obviously predominantly men that liked that. Would you get women that would sort of come to you, or was it predominantly men?
No, it was predominantly men. Women used to come, of course, for sexual services from girls. Yeah. Of course. But it was not on the domination side, I think. It was more the love-making, caressing, kissing, and everything that is wonderful girl to girl. Yeah.
So look, can we go back then to where it all starts? Because I've read the book, I think it's brilliant. Just through when we first met in this burlesque dancing, and we were talking earlier about how you started in ballet when you were very young. Yeah. But because when I was growing up in London, and I would go into the West End, of course there's a Roman Revue bar, which is very famous, and you ended up there being a burlesque dancer.
I was in the Roman Revue bar,
which is world famous
in Soho, very famous, and at prime time as well in the 70s.
That was when it was big. It was huge.
But the lead up to that was a slow process. From a child, I knew that I had stars in my eyes. My mother educated me to become famous on the stage, if I could, in whatever shape or form, and mainly in acting. Yeah. And I think I mentioned to you briefly before that I did get an opportunity of appearing on Coronation Street at the very beginning.
Right, okay.
But I was quite a rebel in those days. I mean, really a rebellious child. Yeah. And I didn't take up the opportunity.
Yeah.
I managed to get on the stage and get the feeling of all this needing to be famous and acclaim on the stage, not through the direction that my mother wanted to take me.
Yeah.
I did it my own way.
Right, you did it.
And I went into burlesque and stripping.
Yeah.
So that the admiration that I so desperately needed, which I didn't get so much from my mother, you know. She was very dominant in the way she wanted me to become a success, and there was very little hugging and kissing or whatever. Never ever once told me I was pretty.
Really?
Always picked up the points that I needed to correct about myself, even as a child, you know. I mean, every little girl wants to be told that they're pretty.
Yeah.
Especially from their mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the admiration that I didn't get as a child, I got from men.
Yes.
From performing on the stage.
And that was it.
And that's how it started. And I took myself with a friend who was also a stripper in burlesque in Manchester. Then it was stripping, classed as stripping, two different things. But we went, then followed it through, got to the Raymond Review Bar on the burlesque stage.
Yeah.
And we did it through sheer guts and determination.
And would you have to audition?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what was that? What was the process like for back then auditioning for? And who was Raymond Review? He was an actual. Well, Raymond, was he an actual person?
Of course, yes. He was very much visual in the whole thing of his club.
Yeah. He was very hands-on.
He wasn't the one that interviewed.
Right. Okay.
He had specialised people that did, and some people were lucky, some people weren't. We were, and I went on from that to meeting a whole heap of famous people along the way, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
That used to go into his club, and I became very, very friendly with the guy that used to do my headdresses.
Right.
For the burlesque.
Okay.
And we used to party a lot.
Okay.
Whenever there was the opportunity.
Yeah.
And we ended up, he was a gay guy.
Yeah.
So very flamboyant, very beautiful himself. And we ended up in a club one day in the afternoon, actually. And it was a hostess club.
Right.
And I just loved the girls there. Got chatting, found out that the money that they were earning was fortunes more than what I was getting, beating myself up on a stage. I mean, you had to perform. You couldn't have much time off. It was very strict rules.
Because you had set routines, and how many times a day did you have to perform then?
Twice a day.
Twice a day?
Yeah.
For how long?
For how long?
For each performance, was it half an hour, an hour?
Oh no, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, I see, right.
But it's the whole performance, preparing yourself.
You've got to get dressed and
you've got to be around. You can't go on the missing list or whatever.
Right, okay,
you know? So it was intense. Great fun. I mean, how fabulous to be on that stage.
The outfits must have been incredible.
But I ended up having my own tailoress to do all my styles for me.
Wow.
And it was quite very exciting. But then, as I said, I went in to sitting at the bar.
And so, for people that don't know, a hostess club, what is that? So, what's a hostess club?
Well, hostess is you're there in the evening. I never worked at the lunchtimes; it was always late in the evening or in the evening. There's a slight different clientele in the evening time to the daytime. And you have to make sure that the guys drink champagne.
Right, okay.
And they drink plenty of it to be in your company.
Right, okay.
And that's how the clubs make their money.
Right, okay.
And you have to stay there for a certain amount of time. You can't be whisking off with a guy. They want you to make sure that they spend.
Yeah.
And you have to be good at it.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to chat plenty.
Right.
And whatever. And put all the promises under the sun there for them to take you home later on.
And would you have a couple of clients that were probably not so or a bit boring, and you'd have to dig deep to try and make, or were they all very, different walks of life? So the conversation.
I didn't find anybody boring. I found everybody interesting because to go in there in the first place, It was the top end of hostess clubs. So, you know, you never met anybody boring at all. I met my husband there.
Ah, right,
my first
okay.
husband.
Right.
And of course, then it was your choice to either go to their apartments or hotel, or you could do whatever you wanted after the time to earn yourself extra money.
Right, okay.
Which I took every opportunity to do.
Yeah. And so you met your first husband. This is Billy.
Yes, Billy came down there. One of the clubs I was working at, sat at the bar, and he walked in, and quite an unforgettable person immediately.
Yeah.
He struck my attention, and I his.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was that he poured all the champagne under the sun. He'd just finished playing football.
Right.
So, and in those days...
so he was a top division
West
footballer.
Ham.
He's a West Ham player.
Yeah, he's a West Ham player. So, in those days, the woman that was the girlfriend or the wife of a footballer, it wasn't so wow, and you know how crazy it is now.
What do you think now today of all the sort of lifestyles that
my goodness me, if he was alive now, he'd never believe the money
the
that
wages,
is being earned. The same as George Best. He would he never earned a fraction of what they earn now.
It's obscene, isn't it?
And he was possibly one of the best footballers in the world. Yeah. He comes along in my book, by the way, in my life.
Yeah.
But yes, that's how I met him.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about him was that he showered so much on me, and but didn't want sex right at the beginning, which I found quite amazing.
Yeah.
He didn't want to take my body.
Yeah.
He was just teasing me with the money and palming me plenty of notes.
Right. Okay.
And then making himself scarce, until he got in touch with me again.
Yeah.
So that my appetite got really wet.
Yeah.
As well as my body. And he just took over everything.
Yeah.
My favourite chapter in the whole of the book, Jeff, is chapter 10.
Okay.
And is it chapter 10? I think it is. Just let me have a quick look for you. I'm gabbing on here too.
It's absolutely fine.
No, chapter 10 is Tricks of the Trade, of course. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to know those? It's chapter 11, the seduction of the steel tips.
Right, okay. So
that's how he seduced me.
So, okay.
It was an unbelievable experience. That is my favourite chapter.
Brilliant. So go to that chapter. Is there any other chapters that you would recommend?
I think going into my life, for me, is chapter 1, the ticking clock.
Okay.
And, the subtitle for it, we are such stuff that dreams are made of.
Yeah.
Meaning the girls.
Yeah.
In the clubs and brothels. And it's a great insight into an evening of how my club went.
Yeah.
And also the reasons why. I needed to know the reasons why myself while I was there waiting for customers to be attended to, and the clock was ticking by, and it was coming up, after time really.
Yeah. Well, because when I read it, you were very sort of with the running of your establishments. You were very professional. I think other perhaps places weren't doing it as good as you. And what you sort of what you detail is the structure of the girls are presentable. This is the timetable. This is the hours. The place is clean. It's tidy. It runs. So you were very much not just a madam, but a businesswoman, making sure this ticked over, because I assume it had to run clockwork.
Well, that's why I was established in the business, the career I took for 30 odd years.
Yeah. And when was your first brothel or?
Well, my first brothel became my brothel after my husband died.
Right.
My first husband died, unfortunately, and I took over his empire.
Okay.
Because it was originally his enterprise.
Yeah.
That I took on.
Yeah. And then you made it your own and sort of grew it.
Yeah, I established it into my own and changed the style, format, everything, brought it on, made it more acceptable for the ordinary guy to come in, and his wife as well if needed.
Yeah.
I cleaned the whole thing up.
Yes.
That's the word. Now, on saying that, if you were to speak to most guys, which I'd done quite often after doing this huge refurbishment on my last brothel, the Toucan, spent arms and legs changing it into this grand gentleman's club.
Yeah.
You know, if you were to ask the guys, would they have preferred it before the changes when it was much seedier?
Yeah.
To the brightness and the illumination of the Toucan, how it ended up. They preferred the seedier.
Really?
Yeah.
After all that you did?
Yeah, because that is what, for them, what they wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a sort of underground serious attraction there, really?
Yeah, the sneaking through the door and the going in, and it's all sort of red velvet and dimly lit and whatever. And, you know, a lot more seedier than how Toucan was. Toucan was very glam.
Right.
Extremely glam. And done very professionally with huge screens of porn on the walls. And, professional pictures of my girls taken in all magnificent, beautiful outfits and poses.
Yeah.
Menus on that, an illuminated bar with all the drinks and everything available, all free, because nothing was licensed.
Sure.
Even lunch was served,
right,
to them from a kitchen.
Right, okay.
Brought out.
Yeah.
Beautiful lunches. I went really over the top to look after my guys.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And they used to sit there looking at the menus.
Yeah.
But the menus weren't food menus, they were sex menus.
Right, okay.
So they had aperitifs of what they'd liked before, and this, that, and the other, the build up to the main course and whatever, all in very explicit detail of what they wanted, so that they knew, I knew what they wanted, and knew the choice of the girls that could be put in front of them that would provide those services.
Sure. And you would get your regulars as well as your new clients?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And how many regulars would sort of on average be coming sort of to see, or say one client would revisit once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week?
Oh, some made it their home. I mean,
really?
Literally, yeah.
Right.
Yes, it was definitely the place to go.
Yeah.
And they were so comfortable there. It was like going from home to home, and you know, the atmosphere was wonderful.
Yeah. Because you would have Christmas parties as well.
We had parties, big time.
Yeah, right.
Not just Christmas parties, but we had sex parties.
Right, okay.
Huge sex parties. With all different titles, you know.
Yeah.
And great fun was had then, and people used to pay to come to the parties and whatever. And
just a slightly silly question, do you miss it? Obviously, if you could go back to it, or if you like, well, I've had my time.
I'll be honest with you, Jeff. I continued, although I had many other brothels, I clung on to my Manchester Toucan, which had had many names beforehand.
Sure.
It was started off as a little place in the north side of Manchester, and ended up being the whole of the block.
Right, okay.
Because I took it on, you know, anytime a place came available that was next door, I'd take that on, and then vice versa, until I ended up the whole huge block. Yeah. That was an enormous project. Yeah. And a whole heap of a headache as well, controlling many girls. Controlling, that's the wrong word. Looking after many girls. That sounds bad, controlling.
No, well, but as
you
a
know
man,
what I mean.
You've got to manage, I suppose.
Yeah, manage, control in a way that no drugs, no underage girls.
Of course.
No illegals either, whatever. The whole thing had to be checked. But do I miss it, you've asked me? No. I couldn't be in that business now. You know why I couldn't be? Because there's so many illegally placed places run now by foreign people coming in, guys and whatever. A lot of it is gangster run now.
Right, okay.
I mean, I was a woman on my own. I survived, it's a miracle.
And was that a rare thing when you would there be many because you were completely independent, as you
Yeah,
said.
completely independent. Obviously, there were others that the front was the woman.
Yeah.
But they had a man behind them.
Yes,
you know,
yes, they
in
was.
the background.
I think
in the offices or whatever, or
Cynthia Payne. Sorry, her name springs to mind. She kind of was a madam of her own personal house, wasn't she? She kind of she had her own thing going on there, didn't she? But she went for so many years. But you 30 years in the business.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years in my little place in Manchester.
And in a very male-dominated of the business around,
And I have to tell you, a jump from the police station.
Really?
A skip for over 30 years.
Right, okay.
So quite horrendous that I got raided.
And they were
after
obviously
all
aware
time.
that you were there.
Oh my goodness. They used to come in.
Right. So
they used to come in.
Right.
I'm not saying for sexual services, but they used to come in for a chat and a lot, and anything that was happening on the street, be it a stabbing or a bad thing happening around, they used to, because we had cameras all around the building, so anything happening just outside whatever across the road, the cameras used to be able to pick up who was around. So the police used to come in and say, "This has happened here. Can we take some footage away of what happened?" Yeah, we worked along together.
Yeah, right, okay.
How come?
Yeah.
I've never ever understood it, but it happened to me. Why have I gone on to that? Yeah, it's still a bugbear for me.
Yes.
Well, it would be if you lose all your income and your income and all your investments and all your collected wealth.
Yeah,
it's all taken into police funds.
So they were. So it was in something like that. They just when you went to court, it was just all, even though it was. You'd paid your tax and all that. It was all seen as criminal earnings, was it, or how did they term it?
Well, illegal.
Illegal.
Yes.
And that was it. It was just
an illegal business to run. Yeah. So, which is annoying, as I've said, and I'm going back on it. That if it's illegal, why take tax and VAT from me when you know the nature of the business?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing. It's just how they can get away with it.
Yeah. And actually through...
It's, by the way, not only myself complaining.
No.
There are other places.
Well, I can imagine. And now do you feel you've got momentum with, you were saying when the book came out and you was on good, with Phil and Holly. What was the response? Did you get public response from other owners of businesses saying, "Thank you, well done for speaking up for us," or bringing it up? Or no. You got really. I would, because I would have thought of, so obviously it goes out to millions. You would have got sort of, people showing their appreciation, but no, there was hardly any.
No, nothing at all.
Nothing.
Really.
So,
no. I mean, everybody's individual in this game. It's a hard game.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to ask me all the girls that had done so well within my business, and that I had befriended, and looked after. As soon as the doors were closed, as soon as I walked away, there was no further contact.
Yeah, that was it.
Because they move on. You're not earning them. You're not in a business for them to earn income anymore.
Yeah.
So they automatically move on, and you're forgotten about. It's a hard game.
I bet it. And listen, it's a great book. It's a brilliant read. I really did enjoy it. And one chapter that jumped out for me was, and I don't know if I could mention it, was when John Profumo turned up.
Oh yes.
And that was really interesting because I'm a film fan and I'd seen Scandal and I knew about and he was.
Yeah, I had a brothel called Femme Fatale in Piccadilly, actually, not far from where we are now, and he just walked in one day, and he used to call himself Jack.
Right.
He declared to my main receptionist. Who he was. Because that took a while for him to declare who he was. He became a regular every week customer. He used to come to Manchester on business, whatever business he was doing.
Sure. And just to say, just for people listening who don't know who John Profumo was, he was a MP in the 60s, and there was government.
Who nearly brought the government down.
Nearly brought the government down.
Yeah.
It was because he was seeing a cool girl, or so that's what it was. And the film Scandal sort of highlights all of that. So watch that and you get the idea. So, sorry, just in case people don't know what we're talking about. So sorry. So he turned up and he was and he presented himself and said, although he used his name Jack, but he
used the name Jack, but we knew who he was, and he more or less. He didn't tell me.
No.
He told my staff.
Yeah.
Because at that time I wasn't. Although I owned the business.
Yeah.
I didn't work it myself. I wasn't there doing reception or whatever. I had other people doing it because at that time I had quite a few parlours run in different areas of Manchester and outside Manchester as well. It's only that when I just focused on my toucan that I put myself behind the bar and greeted the customers and became very visual within the business. But then I wasn't.
Yeah. It's a fascinating chapter. That was when that really sprung out for me when he turned up.
Is it because of the name of him?
I think so. Well, I think, and the fact that he was still. He was still doing it. He was still active. Yeah. He was. Yes,
he was in his 70s.
And I think you described he was very gentlemanlike towards girls. He just liked that sort of thing. That's what that was a complete surprise to me, because I didn't expect that name, because a politician like that, you think they would fade away, but he was, as you say.
I mean, he used to sit on the table with Margaret Thatcher and the Queen.
Right. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But. What a gentleman, a charming man.
Yeah.
I bumped into him a couple of times when I was going down to see how things were. And he was either walking in or walking out.
Yeah.
Charming guy. But yes, him.
Very good. No, it's. I was real surprised, but that was that. And just to, I'm interested when you were saying in the early years of the Burlesque Club, when you were there, you said lots of famous people would turn up, and you do. I think you do mention some of the names. Just who would actually turn up? Because a bit like Danny LaRue, Talk of the Town, because I was chatting to someone about this the other day. He was an enormous drag queen, new on the circuit, but big at the Talk of the Town, and Ronnie Corbett would do sketches with him. But he would have all sorts of famous people. And I think it was a time when actors and the big celebs would go to these places.
Yeah, well, all the famous boxers used to go there.
Yeah.
But one in particular that became very close to...
Who sticks out for you?
Yeah, for me, when I was doing burlesque at the Raymond Review Bar, was Michael Klinger. And he used to be this name might not stick out to you, but he produced Get Carter with Michael Caine in.
Right, okay.
He was a film producer. Of repute.
Yeah,
and
great film.
We ended up with a fabulous friendship, customer-wise, you can say.
Sure.
Not the best lover in the world, I don't think I should say that, but anyway, he's passed now, so that's not going to hurt him. But anyway, he stood out to me. Because he was very big at the time. But when you've been in this industry, people pass you by, famous people, whatever. Nobody becomes super famous in your head anymore. Because you're used to seeing so many different from actors. I think I put it, actors in the book, actors to artists to. Whoever different types of people that are famous in their own right.
Absolutely. It's an incredible story. It's a credible book. Thank you for today. I really appreciate it.
Finished?
So, well, if you...
I've been motoring on.
So it's absolutely... well, if you wanted to...
oh, no, I'm really happy with... I'm happy that you're happy.
Because I think I don't want to give too much away. Because I want people to go and read the book.
Oh, come read the book.
Because
they're going to get a thrill out of it.
Yes.
They're going to either be shocked at my openness and honestness, that it is all very honest. And showing the dark side of things. The very light side of things, with loads of humour running through it. And it doesn't just focus on Vivien the Madam. It's the life leading up to it.
Absolutely.
In it, and then finishing it. And all the characters, colourful characters. That have come my way through it. one of the most important things about mentioning names, to me, was meeting Georgie Ellis.
Right, okay. Now,
do you recall it?
I don't.
This is very, very, very early on.
Right.
And her mother was Ruth Ellis, the last woman to be hung.
Oh, really? And that was Georgie Ellis the one that you were doing burlesque with in the early...
No. She we actually met in a wine bar.
Right, okay.
In Cheshire.
Okay.
Where she was living at the time. And
what year was this roughly? This would have been...
In the 90s.
Okay.
And we discovered each other, became friendly, discovered each other. She was not shy of telling people who she was. She used to never call her mother. It was always Ruth.
Yeah.
You know, to everybody. And actually, she possibly became the mother that had died with the style of her life and the way she lived her life and everything. Yeah. You know, it was like Ruth being reincarnated with Georgie.
Wow.
But she also ran an escort agency, as I did at the time.
Yeah.
And we used to swap girls. If she needed somebody and whatever, then I'd have a girl for her and vice versa and whatever. And I just found her hugely interesting, that she could come through such an event of losing your mother by being hung, the last woman hung in England, and to be able to live with that. Well, eventually in the end she didn't really, but for
this brief moment, or this period in time, you did know her and you were to talk to her.
And that meeting stands out more to me.
Yeah.
Possibly because of the tragedy of it and all the intrigue with it and everything, and meeting that character, that she could live a very full, very happy, wild life, and know in the background she had no mother to talk to, and exactly what happened to her mother as well.
Yeah,
and I think readers will get from the first page of my book how important a mother is to a girl or a guy.
Absolutely. And listen, I look forward to the play as well, which
it's going to be thrilling.
That's going to be,
and we're putting it out, and hopefully some A-list actors are going to be jumping at it.
Yeah.
As I said, Andy, I'm going to mention his name again, Andy Pilkington, wonderful scriptwriter.
So we're looking at towards the middle of this year. There's going to be autumn table read with the actors.
Autumn time to be there, out and doing it.
Right, brilliant. Well, that I look forward to. Coming to see.
And time just goes like that. So we've got a lot to do.
That's brilliant. So wonderful. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining me today and being my guest on the Funny Peculiar podcast.
You're welcome, Jeff.
You've been listening to Funny Peculiar. Tune in next week. More great guests.